Monday, 22 May 1944. Dear Kitty, on May 20th, Daddy lost 5 bottles of yogurt on a bet with Mrs. Von Don. The invasion still hasn't come yet. It's no exaggeration to say that all Amsterdam, all Holland, yes, the whole west coast of Europe, right down to Spain, talks about the invasion day and night, debates about it, and makes bets on it, and hopes. The suspense is rising to a climax. By no means everyone we had regarded as good Dutch have stuck to their faith in the English. By no means everyone thinks the English bluff a masterly piece of strategy. Oh no, the people want to see deeds at last, great heroic deeds. Nobody sees beyond his own nose. No one thinks that the English are fighting for their own land and their own people. Everyone thinks that it's their duty to save Holland as quickly and as well as they can. What obligations have the English towards us? How have the Dutch earned the generous help that they seem so explicitly to expect? Oh no, the Dutch will have made a big mistake. The English, in spite of all their bluff, are certainly no more to blame than all the other countries, great and small, which are not under occupation.
This ends side 2 of cassette 5. Please stop the tape before fast-forwarding to the end and loading cassette 6. Anne Frank, cassette 6.
The English really won't offer us their apologies, for even if we do reproach them for being asleep during the years when Germany was rearming, we cannot deny that all the other countries, especially those bordering Germany, also slept. We shan't get anywhere by following an ostrich policy. England and the whole world have seen that only too well now, and that is why, one by one, England, no less than the rest, will have to make heavy sacrifices. No country is going to sacrifice its men for nothing, and certainly not in the interests of another. England is not going to do that either. The invasion with liberation and freedom will come sometime, but England and America will appoint the day, not all the occupied countries put together. To our great horror and regret, we hear that the attitude of a great many people towards us Jews has changed. We hear that there is anti-Semitism now in circles that never thought of it before. This news has affected us all very, very deeply. The cause of this hatred of the Jews is understandable, even human sometimes, but not good. The Christians blame the Jews for giving secrets away to the Germans, for betraying their helpers, and for the fact that through the Jews a great many Christians have gone the way of so many others before them, and suffered terrible punishments and a dreadful fate. This is all true, but one must always look at these things from both sides. Would Christians behave differently in our place? The Germans have a means of making people talk. Can a person entirely at their mercy, whether Jew or Christian, always remain silent? Everyone knows that is practically impossible. Why then should people demand the impossible of the Jews? It's being murmured in underground circles that the German Jews who immigrated to Holland and who are now in Poland may not be allowed to return here. They once had the right of asylum in Holland, but when Hitler is gone, they will have to go back to Germany again. When one hears this, one naturally wonders why we are carrying on with this long and difficult war. We always hear that we're fighting together for freedom, truth, and right. Is discord going to show itself while we were still fighting? Is the Jew once again worth less than another? Oh, it is sad, very sad that once more for the umpteenth time the old truth is confirmed. What one Christian does is his own responsibility. What one Jew does is thrown back at all Jews. Quite honestly, I can't understand that the Dutch, who are such a good, honest, upright people, should judge us like this. We, the most oppressed and unhappiest, perhaps the most pitiful of all the peoples in the whole world. I hope one thing only, and that is that this hatred of the Jews will be a passing thing, that the Dutch will show what they are after all, and that they will never totter and lose their sense of right, for anti-Semitism is unjust. And if this terrible threat should actually come true, then the pitiful little collection of Jews that remain will have to leave Holland. We too shall have to move on again with our little bundles and leave this beautiful country, which offered us such a warm welcome, and which now turns its back on us. I love Holland. I, who having no native country, had hoped that it might become my fatherland, and I still hope it will. Yours, Anna.
So let's stop right there and answer the question about how does Anne feel about the invasion. It's at the top of 238. And it's partially on 237. She says that the English should take care of their own country first. She knows that they're fighting to free or to liberate all of Europe from the Germans, but she understands that they're the ones putting their lives on the line, so she totally understands that they would help England first before going to the other countries. So she feels that the English should take care of their country first and then rescue the other countries. Let's continue.
Thursday, 25 May 1944. Dear Kitty, there's something fresh every day. This morning, our vegetable man was picked up for having 2 Jews in his house. It's a great blow to us, not only that those poor Jews are balancing on the edge of an abyss, but it's terrible for the man himself. The world has turned topsy-turvy. Respectable people are being sent off to concentration camps, prisons, and lonely cells, and the dregs that remain govern young and old, rich and poor. What?
So here's the answer to the next question. What happens to the man who delivers their groceries? He was arrested for hiding 2 Jews. All right, let's continue.
Person walks into the trap through the black market, a second through helping the Jews or other people who've had to go underground. Anyone who isn't a member of the NSB doesn't know what may happen to him from one day to another. This man is a great loss to us, too. The girls can't and aren't allowed to haul along our share of potatoes, so the only thing to do is to eat less. I will tell you how we shall do that. It's certainly not going to make things any pleasanter. Mummy says we shall cut out breakfast altogether, have porridge and bread for lunch, and for supper, fried potatoes and possibly once or twice per week, vegetables or lettuce, nothing more. We're going to be hungry, but anything is better than being discovered. Yours, Anna. Friday, 26 May 1944. Dear Kitty, At last I can sit quietly at my table in front of a crack of window and write you everything. I feel so miserable. I haven't felt like this for months. Even after the burglary, I didn't feel so utterly broken. On the one hand, the vegetable man, the Jewish question which is being discussed minutely over the whole house, the invasion delay, the bad food, the strain, the miserable atmosphere, my disappointment in Pater, and on the other hand, Ellie's engagement, Whitsun reception, flowers, Crawler's birthday, fancy cakes, and stories about cabarets, films, and concerts. That difference, that huge difference, is always there. One day we laugh and see the funny side of the situation, but the next we are afraid, fear, suspense, and despair staring from our faces. Miep and Crawler carry the heaviest burden of the 8 in hiding. Miep in all she does, and Crawler through the enormous responsibility, which is sometimes so much for him that he can hardly talk from pent-up nerves and strain. Coupouise and Ellie look after us well, too, but they can forget us at times, even if it's only for a few hours or a day or even 2 days. They have their own worries, Coupouise over his health, Ellie over her engagement, which is not altogether rosy, but they also have their little outings, visits to friends, and the whole life of ordinary people. For them the suspense is sometimes lifted, even if it is only for a short time. But for us it never lifts for a moment. We've been here for 2 years now. How long have we still to put up with this almost unbearable, ever-increasing pressure? The sewer is blocked, so we mustn't run water, or rather only a trickle. When we go to the WC, we have to take a lavatory brush with us, and we keep dirty water in a large cologne pot. We can manage for today, but what do we do if the plumber can't do the job alone? The municipal scavenging service doesn't come until Tuesday. Miep sent us a currant cake made up in the shape of a doll with the words Happy Whitsun on the note attached to it. It's almost as if she's ridiculing us, Our present frame of mind and our uneasiness could hardly be called happy. The affair of the vegetable man has made us more nervous. You hear shh, shh from all sides again, and we're being quieter over everything. The police forced the door there, so they could do it to us, too. If one day we, too, should... No, I mustn't write it, but I can't put the question out of my mind today. On the contrary, all the fear I've already been through seems to face me again in all its frightfulness. This evening at 8 o'clock, I had to go to the downstairs lavatory all alone. There was no one down there, as everyone was listening to the radio. I wanted to be brave, but it was difficult. I always feel much safer here upstairs than alone downstairs in that large, silent house, alone with the mysterious muffled noises from upstairs and the tooting of motor horns in the street. I have to hurry, for I start to quiver if I begin thinking about the situation. Again and again I ask myself, would it not have been better for us all if we had not gone into hiding, and if we were dead now and not going through all this misery, especially as we shouldn't be running our protectors into danger anymore? But we all recoil from these thoughts, too, for we still love life. We haven't yet forgotten the voice of nature. We still hope about everything. I hope something will happen soon now. Shooting if need be. Nothing can crush us more than this restlessness. Let the end come, even if it is hard. Then at least we shall know whether we are finally going to win through or go under. Yours, Anna.
So I wanted to explain to you guys what Whitsun is. It's also called Whitsunday, which is the name they use in Britain and England for the day of Pentecost. You guys remember when the Holy Spirit came upon the disciples? It is the 7th Sunday after Easter, so they celebrate it. So she's stuck here in this kind of feeling of limbo. Things are getting harder and harder in the annex, less and less food. You guys heard all that they had to eat just for a day. And even though she doesn't really want to die or go to a concentration camp, she feels that she'd just rather know what's going to happen to her. They know the other 2 Jews that their vegetable guy was hiding were arrested, and so it just feels like it's getting closer and closer for them being found. Okay, let's continue.
Wednesday, 31 May 1944. Dear Kitty, it was so frightfully hot on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday that I simply couldn't hold a fountain pen in my hand. That's why it was impossible to write to you. The drains went shut again on Friday, were mended again on Saturday. Mr. Coupuis came to see us in the afternoon and told us masses about Corey and her being in the same hockey club with Yopi. On Sunday, Ellie came to make sure no one had broken in and stayed for breakfast. On Whit Monday, Mr. Von Santen acted as the hideout watchman, and finally, on Tuesday, the windows could be opened again at last. There's seldom been such a beautiful, warm, one can even say hot, Whitsun. The heat here in the secret annex is terrible. I will briefly describe these warm days by giving you a sample of the sort of complaints that arise. Saturday. Lovely. What perfect weather, we all said in the morning. If only it wasn't quite so warm in the afternoon when the windows had to be closed. Sunday. It's positively unbearable, this heat. The butter's melting. There's not a cool spot anywhere in the house. The bread's getting so dry. The milk's going sour. Windows can't be opened, and we, wretched outcasts, sit here suffocating while other people enjoy their Whitsun holiday. Monday. My feet hurt me. I haven't got any thin clothes. I can't wash the dishes in this heat. All this from Mrs. Von Don. It was extremely unpleasant. I still can't put up with heat, and I'm glad that there's a stiff breeze today, and yet the sun still shines. Yours, Anna. Monday, 5 June 1944. Dear Kitty, fresh secret annex troubles. A quarrel between Dussel and the Franks over something very trivial. The sharing out of the butter. Dussel's capitulation, Mrs. Von Don and the latter, very thick, flirtations, kisses, and friendly little laughs. Dussel is beginning to get longings for women. The Fifth Army has taken Rome. The city has been spared devastation by both armies and air forces, and is undamaged. Very few vegetables and potatoes. Bad weather. Heavy bombardments against the French coast and Pas-de-Calais continue. Yours, Anna. Tuesday, 6 June 1944. Dear Kitty, this is D-Day, came the announcement over the English news, and quite rightly. This is the day. Footnote, original English. The invasion has begun. The English gave the news at 8 o'clock this morning. Calais, Boulogne, Le Havre, and Cherbourg, also the Pas-de-Calais, as usual, were heavily bombarded. Moreover, as a safety measure for all occupied territories, all people who live within a radius of 35 kilometers from the coast are warned to be prepared for bombardments. If possible, the English will drop pamphlets 1 hour beforehand. According to German news, English parachute troops have landed on the French coast. English landing craft are in battle with the German Navy, says the BBC. We discussed it over the Annex breakfast at 9 o'clock. Is this just a trial landing like Dieppe 2 years ago? English broadcast in German, Dutch, French, and other languages at 10 o'clock. The invasion has begun. That means the real invasion. English broadcast in German at 11 o'clock, speech by the Supreme Commander General Dwight Eisenhower. The English news at 12 o'clock in English. This is D-Day, General Eisenhower said to the French people. Stiff fighting will come now, but after this the victory. The year 1944 is the year of complete victory. Good luck. Footnote, original English. English news in English at 1 o'clock. Translated. 11,000 planes stand ready and are flying to and fro non-stop, landing troops and attacking behind the lines. 4,000 landing boats plus small craft are landing troops and material between Cherbourg and Le Havre incessantly. English and American troops are already engaged in hard fighting. Speeches by Gerbrandy, by the Prime Minister of Belgium, King Haakon of Norway, de Gaulle of France, the King of England, and last but not least, Churchill. Great commotion in the secret annex. With the long-awaited liberation that has been talked of so much, but which still seems too wonderful, too much like a fairy tale ever come true. Could we be granted victory this year, 1944? We don't know yet, but hope is revived within us. It gives us fresh courage and makes us strong again. Since we must put up bravely with all the fears, privations, and sufferings, the great thing now is to remain calm and steadfast. Now, more than ever, we must clench our teeth and not cry out. France, Russia, Italy, and Germany, too, can all cry out and give vent to their misery, but we haven't the right to do that yet. Oh, Kitty, the best part of the invasion is that I have the feeling that friends are approaching. We have been oppressed by those terrible Germans for so long. They have had their knives so at our throats that the thoughts of friends and delivery fills us with confidence. Now it doesn't concern the Jews anymore. It concerns Holland and all occupied Europe. Perhaps, Margot says, I may yet be able to go back to school in September or October. Yours, Anna. P.S. I'll keep you up to date with all the latest news.
So the answer to the last one for today was in these 2 pages, so I'm going to go over there quickly, hopefully. Alright, so we did 7, 8, 9, and 10 today. 7 was in the last video. Number 8, again, Anne feels that England should take care of their own country first before rescuing Holland. Number 9, the man who delivers their vegetables was arrested because he was hiding 2 Jews. And number 10, we just read, how did D-Day, and this is a day on our calendar every year in June. You guys can see it next month, or in June actually. It triggers the climax of the novel because she's given hope. This is huge. The English are now here, arriving in France. There's lots and lots of action movies about this particular event in World War II. Very dramatic battle, and so it brings her hope. And so she, for the first time in a while, feels that they might get out of this alive, which we know unfortunately isn't the case. So the conflict was she was unsure of her future, but now they kind of have hope. All right, so thank you guys. I apologize if this video had to be redone. So have a great day.